Hi there, I'm Emily Knight, and you're tuning into the Animator's Blueprint. As a student at Animation Mentor and an inspiring animator, I'm excited to share this platform with you where we meet the heroes of animation from DreamWorks, Pixar, and beyond. Each episode is a new adventure filled with career-changing advice, creative inspiration, and the inside scoop from the world's top animation studios. Whether you're just beginning your journey or mastering your craft, this vodcast is your gateway to the animation industry. Let's embark on this creative expedition together. Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome, Richard, and Happy New Year. How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year to you too.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on Animation Mentors podcast. It's a pleasure to have you. So first, I would like to start off with, where are you from?
I'm originally from Lexington, Massachusetts, which is a suburb outside of Boston. But I live with my family in Danbury, Connecticut right now.
Connecticut. Oh, wow. Is that close to Massachusetts?
To get back home, it's about 2.5 to 3 hours, depending which family I'm going to see.
Which family? Okay, so it's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, pretty close.
What age did you start getting into animation?
Pursuing it as a career, I was about 20, 21 years old.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
I was going for my degree in graphic design, in visual design and typography. And one of the courses I had to take was an animation course.
Oh.
And my professor, he would admit that he was learning right alongside of us. So we weren't using any great software. It was a really archaic software, but it was enough to get me going and wanting to pursue it. So
right,
yeah,
get the job done. What kind of software was it? Do you remember the name?
It was called Infinity. It's really early 90s. INIFINI/D. Infinity. And there was no audio in it. There was no joints or bone structures or anything like that. It was very, very basic. So any character that we had to build, everything was parented, the hand was parented to the arm. It was very, very basic. I think it was more of a broadcast tool for flying logos and really early 90s stuff.
Mm-hmm. So. Oh, wow. And speaking of school, you went to Dartmouth in Massachusetts. I was wondering...
UMass Dartmouth.
Oh, yes. And after you graduated, did you automatically get a job in animation, or how did that start off?
No, I was pursuing a graphic design degree. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to a school out west. I wanted to pursue animation a little bit more, but I was so far along in my degree that I felt I needed to get into the workforce and pursue graphic design. So I was working as a graphic designer for a medical company for about 3 years. And there was a man there that was really, really nice to me, and he fudged the paperwork a little bit so I could take night classes to pursue animation a little bit more. So while I was working as a graphic designer, I was studying animation at night, and I got my first animation job when I was about 26.
Oh, wow. And what was that?
I'm sorry?
And what was that?
My first animation job was working in video games. Mm-hmm. I worked for a company in Massachusetts called Turbine Inc.
Sick.
So I worked on Lord of the Rings online. Lord of the Rings online and Dungeons and Dragons online. So they were MMO-based games, very similar to a World of Warcraft. Mm-hmm. And it was enough to kind of get me in the industry and, forge a new career away from graphic design, which was great.
Yeah, and unexpected, huh? You didn't expect that.
No, not initially. Once I took that first class at UMass Dartmouth, it was enough to pique my interest. But when I was starting in college, I never anticipated being an animator. And it's funny seeing my students come up now. they all knew that they wanted to be animators since they were little kids. And I like drawing. I like character design, but I never had the skills to be a 2D animator. So until Toy Story came out, there was really nothing that felt accessible to me.
Oh, wow. And you do love drawing. I would like for you to explain to everyone who Gunther is. If you could go ahead and show.
Yeah, so I have one here. So this is...
He's great.
I'm sorry, we'll edit that. So I dabble a little bit in character design and designer toys, and he is the fourth one that I'm self-producing. So he's just, I was sitting in dailies one day and I was, sketching and, came up with a sketch that I liked. And, I was teaching myself ZBrush, but I wasn't proficient enough to really kick something like that out yet. So I worked with one of the modelers at Blue Sky, and, that's what we came up with. So hopefully he'll be produced in 2024. So
fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I was doing just a little research on you. I kept seeing Gunther, and I was like, who?
That's the latest one. He's the latest one.
That's sick. So going back to animation real quick, sure. What is one of the biggest struggles that you still face in animation, a consistent struggle?
I would say, I hope my, employers don't see this. I would say the struggle that I have is really, I feel like my struggle is getting going in any particular shot. You might be riding the high of getting finaled in your previous shot, or, maybe the reference is really daunting and, you don't know exactly how you want to tackle it. So I would say getting through shooting reference and setting the scene up. And I feel like I'm always just kind of slogging through that a little bit. But once I get into the shot, like, things go significantly faster. And that's where I really have fun with it. But it's funny, like, I tell my students, don't skimp on the planning, don't skimp on the reference. But, that is one of the hardest things for me still, is getting through that. And, that's not the fun part for me. The fun part for me, and I think everybody else, is making the characters move. But yeah, that is my own personal struggle.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Starting off slow and then you end strong. And in the past year, there's been a lot of animations that have been released, right? Mm-hmm. What is one of your favorites that have been released in 2023, now that we're in a new year?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I mean, that's easy. Blue Eye Samurai was awesome.
Oh,
I really, really liked it. Don't spoil it for me. I still have one episode left. It's really been great. And that type of animation, that the grown-up aesthetic, a little more raw, geared for a little bit of an older audience, is something that I think is really great. I mean, having 3 kids myself, I love, putting them in. They're older, so I'm not like plopping them in front of a movie now, but like Leo was really great. I enjoyed that. I'm a big Adam Sandler fan anyway. But there's also being able to sit down and watch something that is appealing on just a more grown-up level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What is it about? I've actually never seen it.
Oh, well, how do I not spoil it?
Okay. To sum it up.
It's something looking to exact revenge on somebody else. It's very, it's a little darker, but...
I wouldn't say it sounds dark. Is it gory?
Yeah. There were... Even in episode 1, I think I saw things I never thought I would see in animation. So if you watch it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was good. It's been very good.
I like the darker side of animation. I love seeing animations like that. More interesting story in my opinion.
We had that with, Arcane also, and everybody's anticipating season 2 of Arcane coming out. So yeah, I love that stuff. And I've always worked on, the fluffy, furry, cute animals and
Yeah, exactly.
singing birds and, talking about, fights and samurai and, that's really cool. So
Sick. Have you worked on a darker animation?
not really. No, I
Right?
mean, well, Ice Age 5 was pretty dark, but no, not really. No, it's all been family entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except was Lord of the Rings pretty close, the video game?
There was combat and fighting and stuff like that, but it wasn't to the level that you see a lot of games nowadays.
Right.
I mean, we're going back at this point almost 18 years. You might have like just a little bit of blood that comes out like through effects, but there was no gore or anything like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I saw that you did like Leo. I
I did,
love Leo. Yes, I am also a big Adam Sandler fan.
Mhm.
I didn't expect it to be as great as it was, honestly.
Me neither.
But it was funny. It was cute. I loved it. Yeah. And also, so I love hearing tips and advice from people in your position. You've been in animation for how long have you been in animation now?
Almost 20 years.
Yeah, that almost 20 years. That journey is beautiful. I would love to hear more about it and the advice that you can give to people in my position who are just starting off.
The main piece of advice outside of the technical, because, and this kind of ties in with my advice anyway, is anybody who is starting their journey, and I think this can apply to even to people who have been in a studio for a number of years, is you have to remember that you're on your own journey, and that it's very easy to compare yourself to people around you. But you have to just keep in mind that everybody learns at their own pace, everybody develops at their own pace, and just because somebody is excelling really quickly doesn't mean that you won't get there. And, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself because it may be perceived to be easier for somebody else or, happening quicker for somebody else. And that's something, that I kind of dealt with for a long time myself.
100%.
You look around, and I was in games for about 3 years. And then when I went over to Blue Sky, I was at Blue Sky for 13 years, and you're thrown among some of the best animators around. It's hard to, not look at them and wish you were there. And, that puts a lot of pressure on people, So I think being able to take a step back and, realize you're on your own journey, and it'll take however much time it takes. And the journey really never ends. So there's no rush to get to the end because there is no end.
Exactly.
So I advise my students to, just relax a little bit, look at their previous shot, look at their previous work. And are you progressing? Are you making strides in your skill and in your animation quality? And if the answer is yes, then that's okay. I think, especially coming through a school like Animation Mentor, where you're getting people from all walks of life and all experiences, right? Now, when I was a student, I was coming from games, so I had experience working in Maya, so that wasn't the hurdle for me.
Okay.
So I could work really fast, I could make revisions really fast, where people may struggle with the software or everybody has their own challenges, but you have professionals at different levels coming through here, or a student will see a shot that is beautifully lit and rendered, and they don't have the skill to do that just yet. That's okay, because that person may have a ton of experience in that area. So, focus on yourself, focus on your journey, be inspired by those people around you.
Exactly.
Right? But don't place your self-worth on where you are and the quality of your work at that time, because if you keep practicing, it will improve.
Wow, I that was beautiful because that is the consistent struggle I face every time I step into school. It's so intimidating seeing other people their progress and where their level of expertise with animation. Then here I am walking in and just I always compare myself and it's so hard not to
Yeah.
because then you feel bad and I hate that I do that. But that was perfectly said and I really need to hear that. That was beautiful.
You're not alone. You're not alone. And even to this day, I mean, I've been lucky enough to work around some of the best in the industry, and you know, it's inspiring. And yeah, you have to see that difference as inspiring and as something to strive for, rather than feeling bad about it. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
But we will get there. Out of all the animations that you have been a part of, all the projects that you've been a part of, little to small, what has been your favorite? If you can't name number one, name at least your top three in your 20 years.
Honestly, the most enjoyable, and I may be looking at this with like recent rose-colored glasses. It might be Trolls 3, the movie that was just released. When I got hired at DreamWorks, I was told I was going to be rolling on to the Trolls movie, and if I'm being honest, I wasn't super excited about it.
Okay.
Because look, I mean, I've worked on a lot of franchises, and it's nice to work on new IPs, right? But I've worked on a couple Rios, I've worked on a handful of Ice Age projects, but it's nice to dig into something new. So, but the more I got into that project, I just found a lot of enjoyment with it, and it's such an upbeat, happy movie, and the crew was amazing, and it challenged me. It was very, very daunting to animate singing and dancing and boy bands, which, look, like, I'm not super into boy bands.
Okay.
But it was really fun. I've never had as much pure fun as I did working on Trolls. So I would have to say that looking back across my entire career, that was the most fun and personally fulfilling project I've been a part of.
Wow, that's so awesome. And did you start liking boy bands after that now? From that experience?
I got a few songs in my playlist now.
It's so funny. Oh yeah, I love the Trolls franchise. It's so cute, and my nieces and nephews are obsessed with Trolls. So I've been to the movie theaters more than a few times. So yeah. Trolls is a great movie. Who has been your biggest inspiration throughout your animation journey? Also, it could be a friend, it could be a higher up, a manager.
This may sound a little cheesy, but I would say my family. They inspire me because it's really cool to see them excited about projects that I'm working on. And, this last one that we talked about really fit the bill. But throughout my career, being able to show them the work that I've done and have them react a certain way to it and have them be in the studio with me has been really fulfilling. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when I was at Blue Sky on the Ice Age movies, they used to let the kids draw pictures of the characters and they would put them in the credits. So my son has a couple drawings in the credits of Ice Age 3 and 4, which was pretty awesome.
That is so cool. I know exactly what you're talking about. I love Ice Age. That's so cool.
Yeah,
who thought to do that? That's so amazing.
That's something that they did since, I believe, Ice Age 1. And I think if you go back in the credits, there's always little kid drawings. And they tried to place them next to our names in the credits. So if you see my name, I think there's a picture of Buck in Ice Age 3 next to my name that my son did. And then I was the Badger lead, co-lead on the Badger in Ice Age 4. So next to my name, there's a little pirate flag with the Badger, which is pretty awesome.
That is so cool. How old was your son when he did that?
Um, I think he was maybe 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old. We're going way back now. So he's,
Oh,
as of today, he's 17 and applying to college. So
wow.
he's not the little kid anymore.
No, not at all. Does he ever look? Do you guys ever look back at it and be like, "Oh, look"?
Yeah, I mean, if it's on TV, and we might take a look at it. And my daughters, who were production babies, had their names in the credits. So that's something that they like to brag about every once in a while to their friends, that their baby names are.
I would brag too. That's so cool. Well, I love that answer. Family being the biggest inspiration is beautiful. But thank you so much for joining us today on Animation Mentors Podcast. Is there any last words you'd like to say? Any last tips or advice you'd like to give to students?
Just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy it. And, there may be ups and downs, but I think you'll find there are more ups, and it can be really fulfilling if you just keep working hard and keep at it.
100%. Do not miss out on the fun. Do not miss out on the fun. 100%. But thank you so much. This was an incredible conversation, and you have a great rest of your day, and Happy New Year again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Animator's Blueprint. Our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Animation Mentor for sponsoring our podcast. To show our appreciation, we invite you to visit animationmentor.com/podcast. Here you can download a complimentary animation ebook. It's packed with valuable insights for animators at every level. It's our gift to you for subscribing. Keep animating your world, and we'll see you in the next episode. Stay creative.